Ever considered the unseen realm that's hidden right under our noses, within our homes, on our bodies, and enveloping us? This hidden realm is buzzing with microorganisms, minuscule life forms that are too small to be observed with the naked eye. These include bacteria, viruses, fungi, and many more that are a crucial part of our daily existence. Now here's a thought. For over 10,000 years, humans have been unwittingly leveraging the power of these microorganisms. Fascinating, isn't it? Let's take traditional fermented foods as an example, which have been a dietary mainstay across the world. These foods, ranging from sauerkraut in Germany to kimchi in Korea, owe their unique flavors to the labor of microorganisms. These microscopic allies not only made our meals more enjoyable, but also played a pivotal role in our survival. And here's more. By promoting microbial growth and aiding in food fermentation, these microorganisms significantly increased the shelf life of food. This ability to store food for longer durations was instrumental in human survival, and it not only made locally available food sources safe to consume and easier to digest, but also enabled humans to embark on long journeys and colonize new environments. Without the need to constantly hunt or gather, early humans could travel greater distances, carrying their preserved food with them. Also, during times of scarcity, these preserved foods served as a reliable food source. Thus, the unseen world of microorganisms has been silently and persistently shaping human history, even before we became aware of their existence. The year is 1625. Francesco Stelluti makes a groundbreaking discovery that shifts our understanding of life. This was the dawn of the age of microscopy, a period marked by the development of tools that allowed us to peer into a world previously unseen. Stelluti and others like him began to observe a realm teeming with life, a realm we now know as the world of microorganisms. Microorganisms or microbes are microscopic entities that exist virtually everywhere, from the deepest oceans to the highest mountains, and even within our own bodies. But before we had the tools to observe them, we had no idea they were there. This was also a time when the scientific community held a belief in something known as spontaneous generation. This theory proposed that certain living organisms, particularly microorganisms, could spontaneously spring into existence from inorganic matter. A piece of spoiled meat, for instance, was thought to give rise to maggots, not through the deposition of eggs by flies, but through the spontaneous generation of life from non-living matter. This belief was widely accepted, as it seemed to explain the appearance of life in places where no life was previously observed. But, like all scientific theories, it was destined to be questioned and tested. However, the belief in spontaneous generation was about to be challenged, turning the world of science on its head. Enter Francesco Redi, an Italian naturalist with a keen interest in the mysteries of life. During the 17th century, Redi took a skeptical view of the widespread belief in spontaneous generation. Captivated by the appearance of worms on decomposing meat, Redi planned and executed a straightforward yet effective experiment. He theorized that these worms were not a product of spontaneous generation, but rather descendants of eggs laid by flies. And guess what? His hypothesis rang true. By shielding the meat with a fine mesh that stopped flies from laying their eggs, Redi showed that no worms appeared. This was the first meaningful challenge to the theory of spontaneous generation. Fast forward a few years and we cross paths with another Italian, Lazzaro Spallanzani. Spallanzani decided to zero in on the spontaneous generation of microorganisms. He took a vial filled with seeds and water, sealed it airtight, and heated it in boiling water for 45 minutes. The heat was intended to eradicate any existing microorganisms in the vial. After the vial cooled down, Spallanzani examined it closely for any life forms. To his satisfaction, no microorganisms developed. This experiment supplied another sturdy piece of evidence against spontaneous generation. However, critics objected to Spallanzani's. They maintained that the heat must have eliminated the vital force or essence that was deemed necessary for spontaneous generation to transpire. Despite these criticisms, the experiments conducted by Redi and Spallanzani sowed seeds of doubt about the validity of spontaneous generation. They demonstrated that under controlled conditions, life did not spring forth spontaneously. Instead, life seemed to stem from pre-existing life, an idea known as biogenesis. The stage was set for the final act in the spontaneous generation debate, delivered by none other than the father of microbiology, Louis Pasteur. But more on that in the next scene. For now, let's take a moment to recognize these early innovators who dared to question the status quo and laid the foundation for our contemporary comprehension of life and its origins. Louis Pasteur, armed with a flask and a theory, was about to change the world. He sterilized a flask, leaving it open to the environment, relying on its long neck to prevent microbes from reaching the interior. No microbial growth occurred, despite air's free passage. Breaking the flask, growth immediately appeared, proving that microbes didn't spring from thin air, but needed to reach a substrate to multiply. And so our understanding of the invisible world was forever changed, revealing the true role and origin of microorganisms. Let's quickly recap the pioneers of microbiology: Francesco Stelluti, Francesco Redi, Lazzaro Spallanzani, and Louis Pasteur. These scientists have led the way in of this world. Therefore, the next time you enjoy or take a moment to appreciate unseen universe.